Patrick Stewart's coming back to Star Trek, Invincible's getting a TV show, and mutant matrimony in the future. Who? Find out today on Comic Culture. Hello everybody, and welcome to Comic Culture, the only show that knew about the Guardians of the Galaxy before it was cool. I'm your host, Preston, and today we got a lot of news to cover, so let's get started. First off, Family Guy has announced that they will be doing a tribute episode to Adam West, which makes sense because Adam West is one of the biggest, one of the more popular characters on the show. Plus, Seth MacFarlane did have a relationship with Adam before Family Guy when he was a writer for Johnny Bravo, and Adam West actually was on that show too as a guest star where he played a crazy version of himself as well. So it does make sense that they're going to be doing a tribute episode to him. I figure Carrie Fisher will either get a tribute episode as well, or she will be in that tribute too, like they'll share it. The other thing they've announced is that Peter will begin a new boss in the form of Bryan Cranston. That's right, Bryan Cranston is going to be joining the show as a series regular on the go, as the producers say. So, like Adam West and Carrie Fisher, Bryan Cranston is just going to be on the show. Not all the time, but frequently. Which I have to admit surprises me, because I thought Bryan Cranston, he'd guest on the show at some point. I didn't think he'd become part of the cast. So I'm interested to see where this leads, how he's going to do in the Family Guy universe. So yeah, that's pretty much what we have to say about that. Moving on. Hey, are you watching Star Trek Discovery? Are you enjoying it? I haven't been watching it, so I don't know if it's good or not, but if you have been watching and you do enjoy it, then there's good news for you. Apparently there are talks from CBS about more Star Trek-centered shows, including either a continuation or a reboot of Star Trek Next Generation with Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard. That's right, Patrick Stewart may be returning to Star Trek, and he even has a couple of tweets saying he's going to be catching up on his Star Trek homework, which has many fans believing that this rumor might actually be true. It's going to be a long while before we get any confirmation on this show, because it's now in the developing stages. Pen has not even touched the paper yet as where the setting is going to be, the plot, the characters, and even then, Patrick Stewart still has the right to decline being on the show. If this show does happen, I'm sure he'd be down for like a cameo or something like that. I don't know if he'd be up for a starring role, but hey, stranger things have happened. Like Stranger Things getting a new comic book series from Dark Horse. That's right. Were you curious how Will Byers survived being the Upside Down for a couple months or however long the first season of Stranger Things was? Well, Dark Horse plans to answer that with the first comic adaptation of Stranger Things. This won't be a retelling of the first season in comic book form. Instead, it's going to focus on Will trapped in the Upside Down and how he survived that. I'm going to be checking it out because I like Stranger Things, and plus, I'm also curious how like a 10-year-old kid survived the Upside Down, and Bob, who was like 17, died. So, yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting. I'll be sure to check it out. Coming out this September. And if you're a Stranger Things fan, you should too. Hey, did you see Infinity War? I bet you have, because it's one of the biggest movies of the year. So, warning, if you are the 3 people who haven't, major spoilers in this section. Go down to this time code if you don't want any Infinity War spoilers. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is coming soon. Not like soon, but we should see it in the next 3 years. But the question on everyone's mind is, how are they going to do it? Because at the end of Infinity War, everyone, with the exception of Rocket Raccoon and Nebula, died at the hands of Thanos. So no way, and people doubt there's going to be a movie just on those two, and other people are theorizing that because Infinity War takes place a couple years after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, that the third movie might be set in the past. In fact, I think the writers or the directors, someone involved in Infinity War keeps on throwing that hint, saying, oh, Infinity War takes place years after a lot of people's adventures, so other movies might take place in the past, and don't expect everyone to come back out of this movie alive just because they have sequels down the line. Part of me feels they're just like toying with people, thinking like, oh man, who's gonna come back? Who's gonna be alive? You know, just so they don't ruin the mystery. But now, James Gunn, the director and writer of the first two Guardians movies, has kind of shed some light on it, saying that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will take place after Infinity War. So, yeah, Star-Lord's coming back, and hopefully this means a couple of our other favorites coming back too, like Black Panther, Spider-Man, and a whole bunch of other people who died. James Gunn also did say that don't expect the exact same Guardians team as you've seen. It might be a different version. So what does this mean? That, along with some of the comments from the directors and writers of Infinity War Part 2, means that we will be seeing our favorites come back, but not all of them. If I had to take a guess, I'd say just basically Gamora is dead. She's gone because she was thrown off that cliff by Thanos, and I kind of feel the best the heroes are going to do in Infinity War Part 2 is undo the snap that destroyed half the universe. And she wasn't part of the snap. She was killed by outside forces, not by the snap, by Thanos' own hand. So Gamora, I don't think she's going to be in Guardians 3. Everyone else, I think that's fair game. Some people think other characters like Mantis isn't going to be in there, and maybe Nebula, that they might die in Infinity War Part 2, or Mantis isn't coming back. I doubt that. The only sure thing is I would be willing to bet Gamora is dead and gone, won't be in Part 3 of Guardians. So thank you, James Gunn, for clearing that up. Now let's move on to the next piece of news. Do you like The Walking Dead? I'm sure you do, but do you know the guy who wrote the Walking Dead comic books? Yes, Walking Dead is based off a comic book. The guy who wrote the Walking Dead comic books also has his own superhero comic. Used to. It ended this year. Invincible, one of the longest running comics from Image. It's all about this young boy who has superpowers, and it was really interesting just because it actually followed him growing. Like, he actually grew in real time from this young boy to a full-grown man. It was a really unique comic, had a lot of fans, and ended this year. Well, now, if you haven't read the comic book, or you're a fan of the comic, I've got news for you. Amazon has just bought the rights for the Invincible TV show. That's right, Amazon, the company that brought us the Tick TV show, is now going to expand their superhero lineup with an Invincible TV show. That's all we have to say about that, because that's all it is. They've just bought the rights to the show. We have no idea who's going to play Invincible, what kind of writing it's going to be, live action, animated. I'm sure it's going to be live action, because everyone wants to see a live action Invincible. If you don't know who Invincible is or why you should be excited there's a TV show, you should definitely go check out the comic books right now. Issue 1's going to be really hard to get unless you got some money to spend, so I highly suggest you go to your comic book store and get a graphic novel and catch up on nearly 10 years or more. I'm not exactly sure how long the comic's been going, but you got a lot of catching up to do on Invincible. A new comic miniseries has been announced by Marvel, Mr. and Mrs. X. This will be about the newlywed couple of Gambit and Rogue. Yeah, they've been hyping up the wedding between Colossus and Shadowcat, which is coming out tomorrow, by the way, if you want to see how that goes down. I've heard some rumors of how it goes, but I'm not going to spoil it here because spoiling a comic that's not out yet is kind of a jerk move. But they have announced that Mr. and Mrs. X, which is kind of a weird name for them, maybe because they already had a Rogue and Gambit miniseries earlier this year, they just don't want to do it again. But still, take it or leave it. But so yeah, Rogue and Gambit are getting married, or they are married. A lot of people will be probably happy about this because there's been so many shippers of the Rogue and Gambit relationship. They're now finally getting their wish, and they're now together. What's this going to mean? How's this going to work out? Especially since Rogue is her power, she can't get touched, and Gambit is one of the most touchy mutants out there. I don't know, but I'm curious to see it when it comes out this, I believe it's September. I did not see the release date, but I'll be sure to check it out. And if you're curious about this new mutant matrimony, you should too. I want to thank you again for watching Comic Corner. I'm your host, Preston, and I'll see you on the next issue. wait, show's not over yet, because I just got some breaking news involving Superman, specifically comic book Superman. So, Brian Michael Bendis has taken over the DC Instagram page, and he just showed off this artwork for Nuclear Man, who will first appear in Superman #2. That's right, Nuclear Man, from the movie Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, everyone's favorite Superman movie. No, really, this is quite a surprise, because who ever expected Nuclear Man to make the jump from movie to comics, especially since there are people who don't even know there's a fourth Christopher Reeves Superman movie. So, yeah, I'll be checking out just because I like what Brian Michael Bendis has been doing so far with the Superman character, and I want to see how he's going to work Nuclear Man into the Superman mythos now. So I'm excited, and we'll keep you updated more on comic culture.